welcome back to season 2 of Extraordinary Women. This is going to be a great season, you guys, because I have so many great women that are joining me, including my very first special guest, Miss Taylor Washington. How are you, Taylor?
I'm doing so well. Better now that I'm on your show.
Yes, absolutely. So, you and I, we know each other a little bit personally. Our moms, they're best friends, and we kind of grew up together. So, for the people that don't know you, just kind of briefly introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and tell them a little bit about your background.
Okay. Let's see. Let me not be an overthinker about this. Let me know if I'm covering my background fully. I feel like I've already lived a long life at 26.
Right?
I, yeah, like I live here in Los Angeles. I am a photographer, a painter, and I wear a lot of different hats in the production field. Um, let's see, my background. I've lived in like 4 states and went to a different school every year growing up. Um, so I'm used to a lot of change in my life, a lot of transition. And yeah, coming to LA kind of has been really critical for my growth in a lot of different ways. Getting to be surrounded by creatives and such diversity, and of course with COVID and whatnot, I'm surrounded by less people. But my background definitely made it so I'm able to interact with a lot of different people. So yeah, I'm trying to think. There's so many ways to describe the background, but I think that
Yeah.
does it a little
But
bit.
you mentioned that you do photography and everything, and I follow you on your Instagram page. You do a lot, like you said, you wear a lot of hats in the industry. So you do photography. I also know you do a little bit of painting. So talk a little bit about that. How long have you been doing the photography and the painting, and how would you describe your style or your artistry?
Well, my photography, I've been shooting for about a decade, but I didn't actually believe I could make much of it until recent years.
Mhm.
So, my photography is primarily portraiture, although I've shot so many things. Shot food, I shot football for 5 years, a bunch of other sports. Shot families and babies and dogs and weird creative stuff and landscapes and whatnot. But my work has a much more streamlined focus now, and I've found that a common theme is truly a reflection of myself, in that I love to shoot um, at the most specific level Black women in nature. You know, I love movement. I love the human body. Um, I like how we're able to express ourselves through these photos. And I used to be called captured photography before it was Whaler.photo. And it was because it was all about capturing the essence of someone in that moment, you know, because these photos really tie me to past lives and past versions of myself that I've moved through over the years. And so it's been really interesting to see that development. But people of color in general love shooting people of color. And if I can get that person in an expanse or in nature in some organic form, I really enjoy that. But ultimately, I like shooting a lot of things, and finding a focus has been pretty difficult for me because I'm like, but I do it all, but I do it all. But I'm like, okay, I got to set goals. I got to go somewhere. So I got to know what I want to do. And I think
Hmm.
that that's it over most things.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that. As far as shooting people of color in nature, what about that specifically intrigues you? Because I have seen your work and some of the Black women that you have shot on your Instagram, and they are phenomenal. It is something about, as you put it, movement and something about the landscaping and the nature when you're shooting a beautiful, gorgeous Black woman that just makes you say, wow. So what about that intrigues you?
I think I'm just so inspired when I'm so inspired by Black women specifically, of course, being one, and we are so amazing in so many different ways. And so I see it as a way to honor and to amplify the Black woman, and knowing that our connection to nature has always been there. And so it's really bringing that connection to the forefront. And living in a concrete jungle, we kind of have to go out of our way to still connect in that way. And it's inspiring because it reminds me that that connection is always there and is always within us, and is so important to tap into. I also feel like we just look best in nature. The sun loves us, and the way that we glow is, it's very satisfying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if that answers, if that
Oh
serves,
no,
but
that does. That answers it perfectly. I mean, I agree with you. It is something about, the way um the sun just kind of hits off, like bounces off our skin tone, and just basically, like, that Black women, they really are inspiring. I mean, heck, I mean, let's talk about the fact that our vice president is a Black woman, and that itself is inspiring already. So I mean, you touch on that specifically about Black women being very inspiring. And just another follow-up question with that. So I know for me, I'm definitely very inspired by Black women as well, being one myself, of course. But kind of touching on a little bit of the social injustice
mm,
of the Black community, and then, Black women. I've often seen more recently a lot of social media posts and tweets about Black women being um unappreciated sometimes, and unprotected. And I know you are an advocate of Black Lives Matter. I know that that's something that you are passionate about. So how do you think your photography
mm,
speaks to Black women being appreciated? Do you think that your photography speaks to that, and it can kind of inspire people to understand, like, we are we are beautiful creatures. We're beautiful Black women who need to be protected and appreciated more. So when you're doing photography and you're shooting Black women, does any of that stuff ever come across your mind? The social injustice that we see in our country within the Black community, specifically with Black women. I'm referring to Breonna Taylor, and Louisville. Do you think that your photography kind of speaks to that?
um, to be honest, I don't feel like I there's a direct link, but in a more indirect way, I think it's when it comes to us being underappreciated, being exploited, being taken advantage of, all of these things. Um, I feel like a lot of it comes down to taking up space. We're not, society does not want us to take up space. They want us to be quieter. They want to put us in a box. They want to fit us within a stereotype. And that's just not truly possible because we are expansive. And so I feel like my work shows us taking up space and really putting us to the forefront and being like, look at this woman right now. Like, are you seeing the beauty? Are you seeing just like the majesty of this person? Um, and I find a lot of my, how do I put it? I've always enjoyed making like kind of dreamy landscapes, kind of fantastical in a way. And I think it's a matter of getting to see Black women as magical again, and getting to see Black women as, almost royalty, and really being, these women are confident, these women are glowing, they're open, and it just, the embodiment of that kind of energy is inherently against everything that they want us to be and everything that they want us to feel. And so by choosing to continue to be the way that we are, then it like that how they want us to be, and like immediately holds less weight, has less strength for every single one of us who chooses to be the open and expansive and free Black women that we
Mm, that's deep. That's powerful.
are.
So what are some challenges that you find yourself facing in this industry and in photography and being an artist? I mean, I know COVID, of course, has challenged a lot of us in many ways. But what are some challenges that you have faced within the last? I think it's been almost a year now since you've been in this pandemic. And how do you handle them? How do you overcome some of those challenges? And also, what are some personal challenges that you find yourself dealing with on a daily basis, and you work on a daily basis?
Hmm. Um, I would say personal challenges. I can kind of get in my own way with a little bit of perfectionism.
Mhm.
There's a project I shot months ago, and I've got like 5, 6 shoots under my belt for that project, and it has not been released because of me wanting to also include interviews and different scheduling and kind of wanting to do it a certain way. And if it's not that way, then not at all. And so I kind of get in my own way when it comes to being productive in that sense. Um, I also in something I'm like putting a lot of energy into working through, and I've been seeing progress in, is just believing in myself and believing that I can do it, believing that my work is good, believing that this is something that will provide for me and I don't have to lean into that starving artist attitude. Um, and really just believing, believing before I see that this is going to be good for me, and just overcoming that self doubt. With COVID specifically, I think that probably ties into why this the this last project has been not so fluid, because I can't just meet up with 5, 6 people
Mhm.
casually. That's not as feasible, and I figure out programs to get around that. I'm probably gonna ask you tips from what you did for today because um but yeah, with COVID, thankfully, the best part is, COVID's much worse in enclosed spaces where you're breathing the same air and whatnot. And when I'm shooting people in nature and, it's windy outside, my breath isn't getting past a few
Yeah.
inches of space. There's distance between us, but just wearing a mask and being diligent about getting tested every 1 to 2 weeks, at least, just getting tested frequently, um, and having to put that extra time and care into myself and making sure I'm still being careful, because at the beginning of all this I had the quarantine based series where it was like, we're all in our homes, and I would just go to where other people were and shoot them in their bed, shoot them on their roof, shoot them in their bedroom, just whatever it was. And these were people I was a little bit closer to, so it was easier there within that small circle where I was like, okay, I'm gonna allow myself to see them. I know where they've been. I know the people they've been seeing. Yada yada yada. So the challenges for that just involved a lot of caution, and I'm really grateful that none of me or anyone I'm very close to has gotten it. But I do know it's usually like a friend of a friend or someone who's more of an acquaintance friend. And it's unfortunate. I had a shoot planned for last week, and it's been over 2 weeks, and she's like, I'm still testing positive. I guess we have to push this back even farther. Or it's like
Mhm.
scheduling a shoot, and it's like, okay, I got tested, but you got tested. How long has it been? So a lot of navigating um, caution when everything in you just wants to create. Um, and then I feel like challenges societally is more so, I think my biggest challenge, something that's not so much in my own control, just partially, is that some people don't take me seriously as a young Black woman. They put less stock into me. But I feel as though with my continued efforts and consistency and transformation, that people will take me more seriously because I'm at the point where I'm taking myself very seriously. So
Mm.
it's only a matter of time at this point for things to really start clicking between my flow and then how I work with others.
Yeah, let's talk about that for just a minute. Where you say some people they don't take me seriously, especially as a black woman, they don't take me seriously. What are some common misconceptions or misperceptions of you? So when people see you, when they see you on social media, when they see you in person, because we all know that anything can look good on social media.
Mhm.
We got filters, we got Photoshop, we can make anything look a certain type of way on social media. So what are some common misconceptions that people think of you, and some things that you've heard where people have misjudged you and then they find out, oh, well, I wasn't expecting that. Just kind of talk about that a little bit.
Um, Man, that's an interesting one. Because how do I put it? I was just saying this the other day. I don't feel like I often know how people perceive me. I really have a desire to show up authentically, and I think that prevents me from doing more on social media. I think because I'm like, but I don't actually feel that way, or
Hmm.
this is really what it is. So navigating social media as a tool for networking and growth, and then social media as a reflection of myself. So strange dichotomies there.
Right.
I think that the challenges are when it comes to, having a following. I don't have a very big following, but I've been doing this for a long time and I'm at a point where I realize that my work is good. Um, so I think it's kind of like, even despite the quality of work, sometimes people will often just look at that follower count or how many blah blah blahs you worked with. But I'm definitely at a point where I'm no longer bitter or frustrated with other people's level of perceived success because I don't know what their lives look like. If anything, all I've learned is that everybody is making it look really good, and then you get to know them, and you're like, oh, you ain't got no money.
Hmm.
You actually, oh, this, that, and the other. Um, so I'm just kind of like, well, my journey is going to go at my own pace, blah blah blah. But just like, yeah, not being taken seriously in those ways, and I just know I can be misconstrued. I'm very passionate about my work. I move very quickly. Um, I've encountered a situation where I had an idea and everyone was on board, and then I created the group chat, and then it was like, whoa, 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 we're moving too fast. I was like, I'm only doing what I said I would do. And if you had
Right.
a problem, communicate. So I think um, I'm just very forward. I'm not going to be wishy washy. I do what I say I'm going to do. And I think people are thrown by that. People think I'm just talking. I'm like, no, I'm trying to make this happen. There is no, I'm not avoidant. I had an idea, now I'm executing it.
Yeah.
So I think that just different aspects of myself might throw people off sometimes, but I can't control that. I can only continue to be me because if a door closes because of how I am, that just means it wasn't meant for me in the first place, and I just dodged a bullet.
Right.
So yeah, I mean the things in my way are they're at the end of the day, and the great part is they're not actually in my way.
Right.
They're not for me because all I control is how I show up.
Right. 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 Going back to what you said about you move fast. I kind of move fast too. There are moments where I have to tell myself to slow down, because if I move too fast, if I do too much, then I easily get overwhelmed. It's something that I've learned is that I am a one thing at a time kind of woman. I can't, as much as I like to think that I can do more than one thing at the same time, I really can't handle it, because then I start to lose balance, then I start to lose focus on some priorities. So, my next question for you is, do you ever find yourself trying to struggle, or trying to struggle? Do you ever find yourself struggling with staying balanced? I don't see you struggling with like persistence, because you seem pretty persistent to me, just knowing you a little bit. But do you ever find yourself when you're moving fast and when you're just going, going, going. Do you ever find yourself kind of losing balance sometimes, and then you have to bring yourself back and regroup? And what advice do you have for people that do that? Like, what's the best way to handle that?
Um, yeah, no, this is a really big one. I know that I definitely, hold on one moment. I know that I definitely, me moving fast is a blessing and a curse. It does take a lot of balance. It takes me realizing maybe I haven't tended to my body in the way that I want to tend to my body because I've been so focused on this other thing or on doing this for someone else. And it comes down to everything going on in my mind and everything that I'm doing physically, and then how am I tending to my soul, how am I tending to my body. And if there's a balance there, then I can move fluidly and do a few things at once. But if I'm doing all one kind of thing and not another kind of thing, like maybe I'm just like barely showering and just drinking coffee and just
Mhm.
talking to a million people and networking and editing, and then it's like, okay, have I taken a moment to pray? Have I taken a moment to sit in the sun? Have I taken an extra long shower, where I'm like, or doing like a clay mask and all the things to keep me feeling good and pouring back into my own cup. And it really comes down to, is my cup full or not? And how do I keep it full? And I can't go to others to keep it full. I have to keep it full. Okay, now I have to take time amidst all the things I'm doing in life to make sure that my cup is full so I can continuously pour it out and do all of these different things. Um, and like you were saying with the like one thing at a time, that's something I'm learning because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna message this person and clean this thing and do this, whatever. And it's a matter of being like, okay, like let's pick one goal for today, Taylor.
Mhm.
Can this one goal. So I'm definitely working on that because I'm realizing that that's going to serve me more than anything rather than having 12 different tasks I hope I get done if I get lucky.
Would you consider yourself to be a spiritual woman or a religious woman? And is there a difference between being spiritual and religious?
Hmm. Well, yeah, that differentiation, I don't think about it too much because it's just so personal to me. I'm not like, I'm this or I'm that. I know I'm a Christian, but I'm probably one of the most liberal Christians you'll ever meet. I'm maybe one of the more spiritual Christians. I feel like a blend of both because I have a lot of friends who don't, most of my friends don't ascribe to any particular religion, just out here, just living. And I believe a lot of the same things that they do. We have a lot in common as far as our morals, as far as our character. How we want to treat people, how we want to treat ourselves. And there's a lot of common ground. And I think just being a person. And as far as I would definitely consider myself spiritual just because I see a lot of validity in a lot of what people believe because I'm not saying that every we all believe the same thing because I don't believe that, but I do feel as though we have more in common with other people than we'd like to think. And I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of Christian dogma has made us believe that we are so different from everyone else. And that is not the case. My relationship with God is my relationship with God. I'm really grateful for it. It's there, it's strong. I know Him. I know them, whatever. But at the same time, prayer in general is a positive thing, even if you're not praying to God. Like meditation in general is a powerful thing. And so I feel like I'm able to be both, but I'm also aware that I'm just that kind of person where I'm a little more comfortable in a gray area than other people. Just because I feel so secure in what I believe that I don't feel threatened by labels because I just know how I operate. So,
Right. Right. I agree with you. Same here. I like to see myself as kind of both. Um, Even though I'm probably more spiritual than I am religious. You know, what I mean, I'm a Christian woman as well, so like I know who I pray to. I do have some favorite scriptures of the Bible that I live by.
Mhm.
But I definitely feel like I'm more of a spiritual woman because um when you're spiritual, I feel like you're just more aware of your surroundings and who's out there, who's
Mm.
surrounding you and what's surrounding you. um and for me, you know, I do both praying to God and I do also meditation. And I don't really identify those as neither like religious at all. I just identify them as being spiritual. You know, when you're spiritual, I feel like you are aware of the mind, the
Mhm.
body, and the soul. And I feel like when as a spiritual woman, I am aware of my mind, body, and soul. And I, like I said, I do both. I do prayer, I do meditation. Like I take 5 minutes out of the day. I try to take 5 minutes out of the day to just kind of sit and just be present. This is something I learned in therapy too, but I just kind of sit and I'm just present. I don't watch TV. I don't have my phone on. I'll have my phone somewhere else, like maybe in the bedroom, and I'm in the living room. And I will just literally sit and just maybe stare at the wall, or I'll just lay my head back and just kind of meditate. I mean, meditation doesn't have to require all of this extra stuff that you see, like in on social media and in like YouTube videos. You know, meditation is simply just sitting
Being
down,
present. Yeah.
being present, and being still, and
Right.
acknowledging the tree to your right, acknowledging the kitchen to your left, and acknowledging the television that's on mute right now.
The
That is a
feelings in
form
your
of
own body too.
yes, yes. So yeah, I definitely feel you. I feel like I can be both, you know, spiritual and religious, but I think it's important to whether either way, I think it's important for people and women, of course, to be either one, if not both. I feel like if you're not either one, then you might have a sense of uncertainty, and
I mean,
to have like a spiritual relationship with whoever you pray to, whoever you talk to, or have a religious relationship with whoever you pray or talk to. You know, those kind of things keep you balanced. So I mean, whatever your practice is, I feel like either way, you know, women, we should have some type of form of whether it's spiritual or religious, because it keeps you present, it keeps you sane, it keeps you balanced. So but yeah, that's all I have to
right.
say about that. But thank you so much, Taylor, for joining me on this episode. You are truly amazing. I love your work. I love what you do. I will definitely um, throw your Instagram out there. Well, real quick, I mean, just go ahead and throw your Instagram out there. I know you have two pages, right? So throw out both Instagram pages so people know where to follow you. Guys, I'll drop her Instagram right there. So go ahead, Taylor, and shout out all your Instagram pages.
My personal is Tay Tay Wash. My photography is at Whaler.photo, and my paintings are at Whaler.art. And Whaler is Waylor. It's basically Taylor and Washington in the same name. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Too damn long. So Whaler Photo and Whaler Art.
All right, you guys, you heard her. So go ahead, follow her Instagram pages, check her out. She's really dope. Again, Taylor, thank you so much for joining me.